because I didn't know about any of it. Because I was like, I knew the mechanics of sex, but obviously I wasn't having any like when I was like 11 or 12 when I probably first saw this movie. But now I get it. I get it. And I'm like, yeah, dude. So much homoerotic stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts?
Gay!
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Today, we are going back to 1980. Oh, shit. 85? I think it's 85. Yeah.
85. We're going to 85.
85 was a good year for horror movies.
They really hit
Actually,
their stride.
The only movie I can think of is Return of the Living Dead at the moment. But anyways, we're going to watch The Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
We watched Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I think we both liked both of them. I think we actually thought the remake was more watchable, rewatchable.
Yes.
I think that's what we came at our
because
conclusion.
it was very entertaining. And the remake was so close to the original, but they gave more information about Freddy and they gave you more kind of substance, but it was also just ridiculous and what a perfect random slasher film is. So you're like, this is a good time.
Yeah. Now I have not seen this movie in a very long time.
Same.
I think it would have been early 90s would have been the last time I've seen it.
I think the last time I saw this was late 90s, early 2000s.
And a lot has changed. There is now a huge consensus that there are a lot of gay undertones.
Oh.
Which I do not remember at all.
Me neither.
So I'm very interested.
But to be
where this goes.
I don't think my gaydar really kicked in.
No, I wouldn't have noticed
that early. So I was like, but I mean now I'm picking up gay themes where nobody else can see them. And I'm like, no, for reals, think about this. And then I explain it to people and they're like, oh my God, you're right. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah, back then it was like, I had no clue. It's like, oh, look, those two men seem to are having sex. That's weird. I wonder what that's about. That's odd.
Sometimes
right.
stuff you say makes me concerned for you. FYI.
Yeah. You're not the first person to say that. Let's take a look at the box. Okay, first, let's get rid of this. What do you remember about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge?
So fucking little. And that's the hilarious thing, because I know for a fact I saw this movie. I can't remember shit about it. And I know when I watch it, a lot of stuff is going to come back to me and I'm going to be like, oh my God, yes, I remember this now, or this seems familiar. Right now, I can't remember almost anything, which is weird. Actually, no, it's not really that weird, which concerns me because normally I end up hating the movie a lot when I don't remember anything about it.
I remember them being on the bus at the beginning. I remember this being very different than the first one. The first Nightmare on Elm Street I ever watched was Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And so going back to 3, that's when he hit his stride of very comical, and going to number 1, he was a little bit like that. Number 2, I remember He was not like that at all. I remember there was controversy during the filming because they weren't using Robert Englund during this movie. They brought him back because it was not working without him. And I remember it being the dream stuff wasn't as prevalent in this movie.
Yeah.
But I do remember liking it. Oh, it's a Freddy Krueger movie.
I mean, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
Even
Now,
the shittiest like Freddy Krueger movie. Like I just watched Freddy versus Jason again.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too, but it is one of the shittiest movies ever made in the history of movies. But it's also one of my favorites.
Yeah. And it's right like Jason X. I love Jason X. So
I love
bad.
Jason X too. It is terrible. Absolutely terrible. But my God, is it a good time?
Oh, it's so much fun. And Freddy goes to hell. Yeah, So I'm hoping that movie falls into that. Or it falls into a decent slasher, or I'm not sure. But I do remember liking it. But see, I remember watching like 3, 4, and 5 with like friends on weekends and stuff. And there wasn't a whole lot of, hey, we should rent number 2.
I unfortunately did not have a lot of friends who watched horror movies.
Oh, okay.
So I was always watching these things by myself.
All right, well, let's take a look at the box office because this is kind of cool. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, released November 1st, 1985. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? You miss Halloween by a day. I don't get what that's just dumb. So it had a budget of $3 million, which I guess is a step up from number 1. Domestic, $29.9 million, so $30 million.
Okay.
Which is pretty good for a $3 million. Like that's a $27 million return.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't but it justifies making another one.
It does. It does. I'll give you that. Like if you made 27 million. But also was the international also 29? Or did you just write that number twice?
It should have said total.
Got you.
Because there was no international.
Yeah.
Not that was available to me. So it opened in 544 theaters at number 4 with 2.8 million. So it almost made its money back, even opening at number 4. It opened behind Death Wish 3. That was number 1. To Live and Die in LA, number 2. And Jagged Edge. That was in its 5th week. Yeah, actually, I remember liking all those movies. All of those movies had over 1,000 theaters. Death Wish 3 opened at 1,400 plus. The following week, it dropped to 8th place with 1.8 as new movies. Target, which I've never seen this movie. Go on to IMDb, look at Target. It stars Gene Hackman and who's the main guy from the douchebag from Something About Mary?
Which douchebag?
The one that's supposed to go down and spy on her or do what is he in there? Detective or private eye?
Is it Owen Wilson?
No.
He's
a great, Jesus Christ. This is bugging me now.
Okay, so now I'm just going to start naming people. Okay, Matt Dillon.
That's it.
There we go.
Yeah. This movie called Target with Matt Dillon, and it actually looks like a really cool movie. Anyways. And Transylvania 65000. Fun fact, Death Wish 3 remained in number 1 spot. In its 3rd weekend, dropped to 10th place with almost $1.1 million. As Once Bitten opened in 1st place and Rainbow Bright, the Star Stealer, opened in 7th. Then something happened as theaters noticed screen averages of Nightmare on Elm Street 2 were almost as high as the top movies without their theater count. Then Nightmare on Elm Street 2 disappeared from most theaters for the next 7 weeks to make way for such holiday films as one of our favorites, One Magic Christmas, King Solomon's Mines, Rocky IV, Santa Claus the Movie, Spies Like Us, Young Sherlock Holmes, which I remember loving, loved Jewel of the Nile, loved Clue.
Oh God, I love Clue so much.
Out of Africa, Enemy Mine, The Color Purple, Brazil, and 101 Dalmatians re-release. It returned to major theaters on the weekend of January 10th in 8th place in 381 theaters, bringing in $2.3 million. So it had a theater average of $6,000, which was higher than every other movie in the top 10, including the number one out of Africa, all except
Wow.
for The Color Purple.
Mm.
And so they added more theaters to Freddy 2. The film went up to number 6 with 3.3 million weekend, and then it remained in theaters and had a staying power of 60 weeks, almost 426 days.
Wow.
So they took it out of theaters to make way. The theater average, I guess they realized the theater average was really good, brought it back, and it shot back, and the theater average was just out of this world. Like
That's
even
amazing.
today, if you have a movie, your movie's bringing in an average of $6,000 per theater. That's really good.
That's amazing. And also, November 1st is the Friday of that. So Halloween was on a Thursday in 1985. So it would have been great if they had released it on the Thursday.
Yeah.
But they had really weird, strict, like it only started happening probably in the last 15 years.
Yes.
But they started releasing earlier in the week or according to holidays. So I think Independence Day was released in a year that like July 4th was like a Wednesday.
Right.
And they released it for Independence Day. So like there's stuff like that where it only recently started happening. In the 80s, they never would have thought about that.
No.
In the 80s, they would have been like, no, your film is on the truck. It'll arrive on this Friday.
Yeah. Let's not, release it on October 10th and let all the Halloween people who love horrors watch this movie leading up to Halloween, you morons.
You're so angry about it. I love it.
I know. It just doesn't, use your brain.
I know.
Let's go to the tail of the tape. November 1st, 1985. It is considered a horror. It's rated R and comes in at 1 hour and 25 minutes.
Good length for a horror movie.
Yep. Taglines. The first name in terror returns. The man of your dreams is back.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. You are all my children now.
No.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street.
That's stupid.
I think that is it. Oh, no, there is one more. Freddy is here. He is queer. Get used to it. That's not one.
That's not one of the official ones.
I made that one up. That would be awesome. Then you had a pink shirt with stripes.
Yes. If you had a pride flag on it, that would be amazing.
Synopsis. Jesse Walsh, Mark Patton, moves with his family into the home of the lone survivor from a series of attacks by dream-stalking monster Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund. There, Jesse is bedeviled by nightmares and inexplicably violent impulses. It turns out Freddy needs a host body to carry out his gruesome vendetta against the youth of Springwood, Ohio. While Freddy gains influence, Jesse and his girlfriend Lisa, Kim Myers, I had a crush on her, race against the clock trying to figure out what's going on.
This is a nonsensical plot.
Yeah. Yeah, because see what I mean? Freddy doesn't need to possess anybody. He needs you to fall asleep.
Yeah, he does not need a host body. Also, why does he have a gruesome vendetta against just the general kids?
Yeah.
Like the lone survivor from the last time has obviously moved away. Yeah. So why is he killing all the other kids? See, stuff like that. For them to call it a gruesome vendetta,
yeah,
I'm like, well, what does he have against the new kids?
Yeah, it just makes him sound like a dick.
Yeah.
And here's the original poster. It's weird. That VHS copy that we were looking at before, that's what I remember. This I don't remember. I didn't go to the theater and watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
That's so fucking weird.
Yeah, so it's basically the man of your dreams is back. It's the main character holding his girlfriend, and then he's looking in the mirror where he has a skull face, and he has like the razor fingers, and then there's a crow, and there's lightning. I don't get that part.
Is that supposed to be like the nightmare scape? In which case, why is there a crow?
Yeah.
What?
And it's Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Not the greatest poster.
No.
All right. Well, let's go to Rotten Tomatoes. 30 critics give this movie 43%, while 250,000 plus audience gives this movie 33%.
Jesus.
So the critics weren't
low.
very happy with it, and the audience thought it sucked. So, critic consensus: an intriguing subtext of repressed sexuality gives Freddy's Revenge some texture, but The Nightmare loses its edge in a sequel that lacks convincing performances or memorable scares.
Good to know.
All right. Well, let's start with the fresh, and you may go.
The ridiculousness of the dialogue and Patton's shrieking performance make this a perverse camp classic. Cody Derrick's Them.
The queer subtext is arguably the most interesting part of the film, but it's undone by heteronormative
Yep.
and anticlimactic finale. Trace Thurman, Horror Queers Podcast, 3 out of 5.
Freddy is a threat to Jesse's burgeoning queerness. He is a manifestation of Jesse's own internalized homophobia. So when sexual situations arise that might naturally encourage Jesse to consider his unorthodox for the 80s sexuality, Freddy pops out. Joe Lipset, bloody disgusting.
Did you mean like a penis? Like Freddy pops out? That's the metaphor?
Freddy's penis pops out.
Or is Freddy the penis? See, when I was a kid, this never struck me at all. So
Well,
I am curious.
I don't remember any queer undertones.
No.
So I'm super curious to watch it and see if that's what I pick up from it.
An allegory about the dangers of being forced to repress your sexuality, and also a fun slice of Freddy's nightmare world. C.H. Newell, Father, Son, Holy Gore, 4 out of 5.
That's awesome. A work of high camp, even if Freddy himself is often reduced to an annoying nocturnal emission that will inevitably ruin a pool party. Leo Goldsmith, not coming to a theater near you.
Okay, I remember the pool party. I remember parts of the pool party.
I remember parts of the pool party.
Yeah. The darkest of the Elm Street series. Gets cheesy, but it's still fun if you're stoned. Alex Sandel, Juicy Cerebellum. 7 out of 10.
Amazing.
All right, Rotten. You may go.
A significant drop in quality. The goofiness of the script and some baffling visuals make this a strange experience. As a confusing contrast, the portrayal of Freddy is perhaps the darkest in the series. Cody Leach YouTube, 2.75 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's
First
quite the
time I
score.
saw 2.75 out of 5. The scares are already less effective than before, especially when they're derived from something as goofy as a spontaneous bird combustion or revenge against the gym teacher. Mike Massey, Gone with the Twins, 3 out of 10.
Damn. The sequel is clunky, sluggish, poorly cast, not funny, and worst of all, not scary. And it all but dispenses with what made the first film scary to begin with. Jason Bailey, Flavor Wire.
An uneven, tedious, and sloppy sequel with plot holes, lapses in logic, and horrible performances. Wow. Felix Vasquez Jr., Cinema Crazed.
Possibly the lamest of all the sequels, although 5 and 6 later set the bar particularly low. Kim Newman, Empire Magazine, 1 out of 5. God, they hated this movie.
I remember liking 5. That's Dream Child, and you get to see Freddy's child, the little creepy kid. And number 6, Freddy's Dead. I remember being it was really out there for the comedy. But it's been so long, I could be wrong. The second film of the series departs from the storyline dramatically, leaving the impression that it doesn't fit into the series. Wesley Lovell, Cinema Site, 1.5 out of 4.
I must give credit where it's due. This is pretty unique in its stupidity. Tim Brayton, Antagony and Ecstasy, 3 out of 10.
Wow. The worst of the nightmares. Don't bother turning on to this Elm Street. Jerry Shamray?
Yep.
Your Movies, Cleveland.com, 0 out of 5.
Damn, Jerry.
Just a 0.
The acting, so as to give it a label, is extremely non-existent. Greg Muskowitz, efilmcritic.com, 1 out of 5. Damn, Greg, that's harsh.
So what I'm getting is that the people that liked it are saying that it wasn't a masterpiece or anything, but it tried something different and it was fun, campy. And the people that didn't like it really didn't fucking like it
They
at all.
really, really hated it. So much.
IMDb. 79,000 user ratings, comes in at 5.4 out of 10. A little higher than Rotten
Yeah.
Tomatoes. All right, you may start.
Freddy's Back for Revenge. Really criminally underrated sequel. 10 out of 10. Nightmare on Elm Street fan.
I think he's biased.
Maybe just a little.
And I actually, when I clicked on this guy, Nightmare on Elm Street fan, he actually has a list of his favorite Nightmare on Elm Street. This was like the third from the last. So they're like 5 above it. So I don't know what they got, like 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10, 13 out of 10. So, and there were a ton of, for the ones that were high, underrated.
Apparently everything's underrated.
Yeah. Weird, awkward, and awesome. 9 out of 10, Bored Dragon.
I will always defend this entry. 8 out of 10, Crows, 18,865.
I wonder if these are prisoners.
Maybe.
This is just their prison number. Weird, creepy film. 7 out of 10, Falconeer.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Not that there's anything wrong with that. 6 out of 10, Edward the Black Prince.
And if you ever watched Seinfeld, that episode where the journalist thinks that they're gay, and they say we're not gay, and then the whole thing is like they're always saying that we're not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
But that's the default. Like, it's hilarious because people are like, I'm not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And I'm like, I never had the thought that there was anything wrong with that, or that you thought there was anything wrong with that. So why are you saying that?
Because I think there's something wrong with it.
I mean, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's like those people who say, I'm not racist, but.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you wait for them to say something really racist.
Yeah. And then you're like, sure you're not racist? Are you sure?
At least it had the guts to be different. 5 out of 10, Mental Critic. Runner up, snubbed at the Oscars, Rocky the Bear.
Oh, Rocky. Yeah, that was kind of gay. 4 out of 10, Dominic 25.
Yeah.
Amazing.
The redheaded stepchild of your dreams. 3 out of 10. D. Carter 19918.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I did have a stepdad, so I was a redhead stepchild. So I take it this person does not like this movie.
Yeah. No, and no. 2 out of 10, Mythsick.
And the number 1 out of 10, I want revenge on this movie. 1 out of 10, Coconut Kung Fu 30704. What a great name.
Amazing. Coconut Kung Fu?
Yeah.
I love that I want revenge on this movie.
Yeah. Just when you think you're funny, go read some stuff on the internet.
Yeah, you'll realize just how not funny you are.
Yeah. All right. Oh crap, I didn't get it ready. Give me 1 second.
Hey, you're fired.
Two. Nightmare on Elm 2 trailer. All right. Oh, I don't want to buy it. 16. This trailer is from 16 years ago? Oh my God. Oh, here's one from 10.
Oh.
I'm going to say, how's that look 16 years ago? My God.
Apparently there's a documentary.
We'll talk about that as soon as this is over. All right.
Someone is coming back to Elm Street. He is not friendly. He is not patient.
Kill for me.
And he is not a welcome visitor.
No!
But he has something terribly special for the new kid on the block.
It started to happen again.
Dad!
I'm in trouble. You've had some scary dreams, okay?
Help!
Daddy can't help you now.
There's something inside him.
and he doesn't even exist.
Freddy Krueger is back on Elm Street.
Get out of here, Lisa!
Just fight him.
Watch out for him. We'll be in your neighborhood soon. A Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 2.
You are all my children now.
Freddy's Revenge.
I am unsure about whether or not I will like that.
I was going to say, what's your prediction?
I am unsure about whether or not I'm gonna. No, I think because when I was watching that trailer, I was like, "Oh, that looks super familiar. Oh, I remember that." So I was like, "Okay, I can confirm that I have seen this movie before." But yeah, it's just I like some of it. I was like, "Okay, this is totally workable," and then some of it, I was like, "That seems a little far fetched." But I mean, we'll see. Maybe the trailer just doesn't do it justice.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm not sure if I'm going to like it. I'm hoping I'm going to like it. I'm not
Same.
sure. It looks like it could be okay. Yeah, it looks like it can go either way. I'm really curious to see the gay stuff, to see what I missed.
Me
So,
too. Because I did not walk around thinking that was a super gay movie.
Yeah. Freddy's gay.
Any-
All right, we are going to go watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. And yeah, when we get back, we are going to review it.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Ooh, wasn't that scary, kids?
no, not even a little.
It was scary for different reasons. Did you watch the 1985 sequel, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge?
I did.
And what's your initial thoughts?
In general, it's not the greatest horror movie. It was kind of clunky and unfocused. And I realize now why I didn't get any of the homoerotic stuff when I was younger, because I didn't know about any of it. Because I was like, I knew the mechanics of sex, but obviously I wasn't having any like when I was like 11 or 12 when I probably first saw this movie. But now I get it. I get it. And I'm like, yeah, dude. So much homoerotic stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts?
Gay!
It's true though.
It is true. Very true. My initial thoughts are there's a lot of things wrong with this movie. The gay stuff, not one of them. Like the homo undertones and gayness, and I was fine with that.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I had fun watching it, especially because it's been such a long time. I forgot a lot.
Same.
And yeah, like you, I was too young. Like the gayness is right in front of your face. Like,
It really is.
right there. Like he might have just started slapping you in the face with it. Like I don't understand. I understand why I didn't get it. I was just too young. It was just a horror movie to me.
You didn't understand. Also, there wasn't a lot of representation of homosexuality.
Not in 1985.
Not in 1985. Not even in the early 90s. Because in the early 90s, it was all very over the top.
Yeah,
and campy, and it was the extreme. Like you didn't see everyday regular gay teens just hanging out. They were just so like extra.
And it was usually for comedic purposes.
Yes.
Yeah. But there were movies like Philadelphia. There were movies that did explore it, but not to the depths that we have now. I watched this first before the documentary, which I'm glad I did.
Me too.
A lot of the reviews said that if you take it as a standalone slasher, it isn't bad. But this is not a standalone. This is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah.
And this is where I have a huge problem with this movie. Well, the writing, the direction, the effects, the weird choice of effects, the anticlimactic ending, which starts amazingly. The
So
fucking
much
pool
potential.
scene, which is a head scratching dumpster fire. Yeah, it's
clunky and unfocused. Like I feel like, and now I feel kind of justified in my mild rage towards the writer after watching, because I was like, who wrote this shit? Like,
forget
honestly,
the gay undertones. The writing's
that I had no problem with. That made sense. It was the rest of it that I was like, who wrote this? You thought this was a good idea? What's the point of this scene? I spent so much of my time doing that. And I'm like, if it was a standalone, like just a random killer,
not Freddy
like
killer,
a spiritual
ghost,
killer trying to become a physical body, sure. It would have been not great, but not terrible.
No.
It would have been kind of mid, lower mid, like whatever. Still unfocused and clunky, but fine. And then the writer he was an extra asshole after I watched the documentary. So I was like, you know what? Fuck you, sir. But they chose to make it a Freddy movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Freddy.
No, it was a weird
Freddy
choice.
was such an established killer with a very clear pattern and a very clear method in the first movie. And then for the second movie, it's like they're just like, no, we're going to fuck it all and just recreate it so that we can, because honestly, it kind of feels mildly like an attack on homosexuality. So I was like,
I have an argument, which I'll come to the end. This movie could also be viewed as an anti-gay movie.
Oh, 100%.
Just as easily as a pro-gay movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely considered a gay movie because there is so much, and this is going to sound like the weirdest, there's so much gayness that can be identified in it that I understand why excuse me, I understand why people identify it as a gay movie. I get it. But in the actual content, it feels anti-gay. Like if you take away the audience and you just watched it straight and you start looking at it, you're like, this feels anti-gay. And then when you watch the documentary, you're like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And I want to find that writer. I want to find him and I want to beat the crap out of him. I'm not going to do that though, because Anna's too cute for prison. We're not doing that. But honestly, I mean, I was like, you didn't.
No, this was weird. I did have fun. I enjoyed laughing at it, rolling my eyes, with my fanboy smugness. But there were a couple things I did like. But if they would have just been open and willing and take a chance and just didn't throw Freddy Dream World rules out the window like they did and just went full into the homosexual winds, they could have had a really cool movie here.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been so fucking cool.
Yeah,
but I think that it's
1985.
It having what?
Not in 1985.
I mean, yeah, true.
Yeah.
It's still it would not have happened if they were like, we're a gay movie. Everybody would be like, you're not playing in our theaters. What?
Yeah.
Gay.
Yeah.
But I think the main obstacle of this movie is that it is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
Yeah.
That's the problem. If it wasn't, I think it would have worked a lot better. Because it was they took a slasher movie that they had written and just decided we're going to make this one a Freddy movie and change what we have to kind of make it fit. But it doesn't really fit. Like it just feels very disconjointed. Is that even a word? Disjointed, discombobulated. Those are the two words I was looking for. There you go.
Oh, Cheese Toast just said that Top Gun's kind of a gay movie. I'd like to go back and watch that now. And the Babadook is gay. I haven't seen the Babadook, so
neither have I.
That's a nightmare coming out from under my bed.
Honestly, though, I've been wanting to see it for years, and I'm
gonna try watching. I have a list for this Halloween time period. It's so big though. I'm not gonna be able to watch 30 movies, but I'm gonna watch like 3 or 4 of them, like Barbarian.
Yeah.
uh,
Oh
the
yeah,
one,
yeah. I heard
yeah,
about that.
Hereditary.
I
That
haven't
one
seen
where they go
Hereditary
to
yet.
Sweden and take some magic mushrooms and
Midsummer?
everyone. Yeah, I haven't seen
I
that
haven't seen
yet.
that yet either.
Then there's one out now called Oddity. That's supposed
Haven't
to
heard
be
of that
one of
one.
the even the guy who did Doctor Sleep.
Yeah.
He did all those TV shows on Netflix, all those mansion horror haunting mansion one. What is his name? He's doing
Ryan
the Dark
Murphy
I think so, yeah.
or American
He
Horror Story guy?
no,
No.
he did he done the Netflix ones, the where it's the haunted mansion and the kids move in.
Oh, yeah. I
He's
love
really
those.
famous. I don't know why I can't. There we go, Mike Flanagan. Thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Eggs
I
here.
forgot his name too, so you're fine.
Mike Flanagan. He said the Oddity is ridiculously good, like
Oh.
terrifying. So there's some movies I really want to watch, but we watched this movie, so let's go over this movie. All right, here we go. 5 years after Freddy Krueger's apparent defeat, the Walsh family has moved into Nancy Thompson's former home. So this is my first gripe, one of many. 5 years later, I get it. You want the events of Nancy become a fading memory where everyone seems to have forgotten altogether. But the first movie came out a year ago. This just felt weird.
Honestly, it probably would have played better. I understand what they thought they were doing, but it would have played better if it was literally a year later or 2 years later, where people are giving the people who live in that house side eye and being like, "Oh, you're living in that house?
Yeah,
Really?"
yeah.
Like more of that, because then it adds to the creep factor. Now it's just a bunch of people who don't remember anything except for Ron, the one
Yeah.
bully.
Well, that's my note is like, even 5 years, 10 years later, the neighbors would not have forgotten already.
Oh, fuck no.
It's like all of a sudden they're at the breakfast table, like, oh, George, it's always a George. Some new people moved into Thompson's house. What happened? What happened to them? Why'd they move? You remember the boy across the street was horribly butchered. The girl's boyfriend, Nancy's mother, killed herself suspiciously with a bunch of claw marks all over her. Nancy kept saying it was Freddy Krueger. Fred Krueger? Yeah, the child killer. We all got together, murdered, and burned him alive. No, not ringing any bells.
The Freddy lore is so entrenched in this town.
Yeah. And it's ignored in this movie.
Ignored. Absolutely ignored. Like there's not even like that one janitor who's like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I see what's happening here. Like nothing.
Or so that crazy guy from Friday the 13th, that weirdo on the side of the street. Don't go into the woods, he'll get you.
Yes.
Fuck you, old man. Yeah, it was horrific and it was very memorable. Like my neighbors still remember all the stupid things I do. And I haven't even murdered anyone.
We still talk about neighbors that we had like 20 years ago. And they didn't murder anyone either.
Yeah.
But we still talk about their business.
Yeah. Most of mine are my 5 or 6 screaming kids like lunatics every day.
That just means they're happy children.
It's an ongoing problem. Like it's bad. Yeah, I even signed the petition. Their teenage son Jesse has a nightmare about Freddy Krueger. Okay, they jump straight ahead to finding the diary. If you want my $2 every 6 months, Wikipedia, I expect better. But I love the opening scene. The whole bus dropping the kids off, going faster and faster until driving across the desert, and they end up on that cliff. What do they call it? Like the rock pillars?
Yeah.
Complete with blue lightning, animated.
Yes, animated. Yeah, of course. The one issue I had with the scene, I was like, because the main character is sitting there super nerdy. Like his hair appears wet. He's got a pocket protector. And I was like, I don't remember him looking like this throughout the movie.
Yeah, he doesn't. I guess
that's the only real issue that I had. Because if you're trying to convince me this is real, I'm sitting there going, this is odd. So I'm like, okay, this must be a dream sequence. It must be something. Because you also see Robert Englund driving the bus. So you're like, okay, this is going to get weird. And it got weird.
Yeah.
It was a good opening scene. It's,
Yeah, I was actually excited. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool.
Yeah, it didn't seem, the only thing that I had an issue with was the way he was dressed.
Yeah.
But that's just because it was incongruent with what I remembered from the movie. So I was like, he was supposed to be a lot cooler. Like, why does he have a pocket protector? Also, did nerds actually use pocket protectors in the 80s? But they always have it on TV and in movies. But I'm like, in real life,
I don't think
Who
so.
really wore pocket
Wait,
protectors?
I got a clip for nerds.
Go outside, nerd. Get out. Go.
Yeah, get outside, nerd. Go. No, I don't think they did. I think that was just invented for movies and TV shows to make
Honestly, kind of.
you identify like, oh, pop protector. That guy's a nerd.
Well, I also understand, like, if you use a fountain pen that you refill with ink, I kind of understand a pocket protector at that point. But this
Yeah.
is 1985. We all have ballpoint pens. All right. We're all carrying around Bics and mechanical pencils. Calm down.
Yeah.
That was my one gripe.
All right. We meet Jesse's sister and mom and dad, and that we learn that he hasn't unpacked his room. His mom, Hope Lang, we watched her in Death Wish not long ago.
Yes.
And I'm going to pronounce this right. Clue Gallagher.
Sure.
Good old Clue. I must say, honestly, not my favorite Clue movie. He was awesome in Return of the Dead. He was Bert, the owner of the shop.
Yeah.
And there were times I was like, God, I wish I was watching that movie.
Well,
Also,
they
were
also
both
cliched the dad. They cliched the mom.
oh
Like hard cliche.
yeah, like very stereotypical. Yeah, it was pretty.
Like beyond, it almost became caricaturesque. And I was like, okay, I get it. These are throwaway characters, but you're making it known that they're throwaway characters.
Yeah. Both movies were released in 1985. This movie made more money.
Yeah.
Unbelievably wacky 80s. And I looked it up. Clue Gallagher did 5 movies. He did 5 movies, a mini series, and 3 television episodes for Street Hawk, awesome TV show, although probably not as good as I remember. Riptide, loved it, and A Knight Rider, which I would put money on being even better than I remember. So that was all. He did all that in 1985. So Gen Zers, just so you know, that's called work ethic. Clue Gallagher didn't whine about working 8 hours a day. He was working 12, 16 hours a day. Clue Gallagher didn't have time blindness or bop or camp or I went down a rabbit hole of Gen Zer slang.
You need to stop.
Yeah, I know, because I
Your
was
age
getting
is
mad.
showing. Okay,
Yeah, I
calm
know.
down. Calm down. But here's my, not even a claim to fame, but Angela, the younger sister, the little baby sister, she's played by Christy Clark, who went on to have a very long and illustrious career on Days of Our Lives.
And you just ruined trivia night.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it. I was wondering if
Is
you.
it in there?
I did. Yeah, it's in there. I didn't know who she was. I
Well,
was
no,
doing
I saw
trivia.
her face and I was
I'm
like,
like,
oh,
I wonder if
okay.
Anna realized.
I was addicted to, especially in the 90s, Days of Our Lives. They had the young people. So, like, it was Sammy and her sister, whose name I can't remember, that Christy Clark played. And they were like and then there was Lucas. And then, oh God, was it Sammy's twin brother? Was played by Jensen Ackles. Oh, he was a hottie. Even back then, hottie. Anyways, that's not the point. The point of this is not Days of Our Lives. Let's go back to Freddy.
No, we're talking about Clue fucking Gallagher, and he was a man's man. No, let's go back to Freddy. Where are we here? So we meet the family. Jesse waking up screaming from a dream. And while not gay, it was a very high, and I think it's because we were talking about all the gay undertones and subtext that it really affected the way I watched this movie. And I'm glad I didn't watch the documentary before I watched this movie, because I would have been, rather than watching the movie, I would have been like looking for everything. And just for those that are listening, the documentary is fucking fantastic. It is a
So good.
great documentary.
Such a good documentary.
I feel really bad for Mark Patton. He kind of got fucked on this movie.
Oh, he totally did.
Yeah.
He totally, and it angers me so much because I'm like, oh, what would your career have been like? And also Cheese Toast. Yes, the Days of Our Lives spinoff was also very good. Shut up. Days of Our Lives is amazing. Well, it was. I had to quit it when Marlena became possessed by the devil. Like that was my line. That was my hard line.
We meet Lisa. So hot.
She was hot.
We were talking in the comments that she, and this is in trivia too, she was hired because she resembled Meryl Streep.
She really, really does.
Yeah, you would think they were related.
Yeah, she actually does look a lot, or she did in this movie, like Meryl Streep's daughters.
And she appears in the documentary, and Lisa Weber, she looks hotter.
She looks amazing.
Well, I'm older and attracted to women more age appropriate, which is always good, evolving as
No. There's an objectively, like, she looks really good. Like, You know how there are some people who, no matter how their body changes, you see them and you're like, you like yourself. I think like Kim Myers, that's her name.
Kim Myers.
She has found a peace in herself, and she's a happy, like, I think she's just happy in her life because that's the way she carried herself in the documentary. And I was like, girl, you're looking good. Your joy is showing. Like, it is shining out to the world.
Yeah, she married rich. You could tell. She was happy.
You don't have to be rich to be happy.
I beg
It doesn't hurt.
I'm
but
poor and I'm miserable.
You're not miserable because you're poor. FYI, trust me, I've had this discussion with myself. I am also poor. But that's not the point. The real point is, yes, she shows up in the movie looking hot.
Yeah.
Great hair. And then they get in the car that needs to be started with like a puzzle.
Yeah. And she's like, don't you like start it with a key? And he's like, hey, why would I do that? Okay, so where are we now? Jesse gets into a scuffle and his bare ass is showing. Lisa's friend is like, nice ass. This is during gym or whatever they're doing it. But the gay subtext is becoming not so subtle.
No.
Like soon it's just going to leap off the screen and start singing show tunes. Like I'm amazed.
That's not stereotypical at all. Although I will say that my first date with a guy who later came out was to go see Rent, one of my favorite musicals. We didn't know he was gay at the time.
I was gonna say your first date with the guy and you guys went and saw Rent.
Gay.
We both enjoyed musical theater, and there are many straight men who enjoy musical theater. Shut up. Eric McCormack loves theater. He's a great singer, very talented, and he dances, and he is straight. So thank you very much.
One.
How to pronounce it, but I think it's Tivit. He did a TV show where he goes around killing people, very deadly. And then you know what else he did? Musical theater.
Okay.
Hey, Rent is awesome. Don't you?
I've never seen it. Never seen it.
Talking to the comments now.
Oh, okay.
Exie, I think I'm pronouncing that right. He's like, I understand if it was Grease, but Rent, and I was like, Rent is.
I've seen Grease.
You should honestly, Rent is really good, and the movie does a really great depiction of the show.
I'm married now. I don't need to trick a woman into sleeping with me. I don't need to see Rent.
Yes, you do. I think everybody should see Rent. I think it's one of the greatest musicals in the world. But anyways.
Okay, so Jesse and Ron, although fighting, because a big fight starts and his ass pops out, but they like super quickly become friends.
He gets pantsed by Ron. And that was another thing that I noted. I was like, was pantsing a big thing? Because the guys I knew didn't really do it.
Yeah, it was a thing. Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah. So anyways, he gets pantsed. You see poor Jesse with his jockstrap. So his whole ass is showing.
Yeah.
Like, that's mean. And then they end up doing push-ups, being watched by the creepy coach through a window.
Yes, but they become friends very quickly. Like, they should have fleshed this out a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden they were eating lunch together.
Yeah.
Like, they had two scuffles with each other, and then they're having lunch, and they're like besties.
Jesse goes, okay, so Lisa invites Jesse over to go swimming. We see that Lisa's rich. Jesse goes to leave, but his dad is like, get up there and clean that room. Lisa comes over, and Jesse's dancing. The dance?
The music selection.
Yeah.
First.
I won't even play the gay clip.
No, and then the dancing. I was like,
yeah,
that was the moment.
Yeah,
where I was like, oh
okay,
yeah, gay.
Yeah.
So gay.
Yeah. Like
up until then, it was kind of maybe.
And the writer and the director, the documentary was right, because for the first little bit, no one really said anything. It wasn't until a little later.
Well, actually, when they're talking about the coach, I think it's Ron that says he hangs out
at gay bars,
at queer S&M joints downtown, and he likes pretty boys like you.
Yeah.
And then they use the phrase mounting her in that same conversation. Are you mounting her yet? And I was like,
Yeah, the
What
dialogue
the
was pretty.
fuck?
It
I
was
was like,
it was
okay,
horribly
that's
written.
but I was like, that is feeling kind of queer, that entire conversation. I'm like, okay, I kind of understand where this subtle vibe of queerness is coming from. I'm like, I get it. And then then at that point the song and the dance happens and I'm like, oh yeah, this is super gay.
Yeah, super gay.
Super gay at that point.
Yeah, and
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not.
not that there's anything wrong with that.
There is not anything wrong with that. Although that dance sequence reminds me of, I believe it's Magic Mike XXL when they stop at the gas station
Haven't seen
and
it.
the things that, oh my God,
Don't want to see it.
Joe Manganiello does a dance
Makes
that
me feel
involves
less
a
of a
water
man.
bottle. It's not sexy at all. It's
Oh.
kind of funny, actually. I actually really like the second movie more than the first. If you play the first with mute,
Didn't they
like
make a
on
third
mute.
one?
They did, which was very entertaining. And then I think there might have been a fourth. There's a fourth where they go to like London. No, wait. The second one, they're going to the stripper convention. The third one, I think it's just Mike that goes to London for the show. I think they might be making a fourth. I don't know. Anyways, there are at least 3.
Yeah, and if you watch the documentary, you do find out Mark, who plays Jesse, was very shy about doing this scene, and that he choreographed this himself. And he said he was trying to do a risky business homage.
I can see that. I can see
Yeah.
a touch of risky in there.
But yeah,
It took a turn.
It took a turn.
It took a turn.
Yeah, and I was 10 when I first saw this movie. 13 or 14 the last time I saw it, and I'm not bright to begin with.
Well,
but
it would feel like if you weren't like in your solidly in your teenage years or later, it would feel like a silly dance.
yeah.
You wouldn't connect. But
No,
like
not
once you
back
get a
then.
little older and you're kind of more inundated with, sexuality, I guess, like it's coming at you more and it's more prevalent, then at that point you can connect the dots. But before that, you wouldn't think, yes,
No.
it's a dance.
And again, in the documentary, Robert Englund said he saw it when he read it. And Robert Rosler, or the guy who plays Ron, said he saw it too. The director said he didn't, but come on.
The director saw
You're a
it.
liar. I'm like, you're a liar, dude.
Thank you, cheese toast.
Jesse and his friend Lisa discover Nancy Thompson's diary in his room, detailing her nightmares, which are strikingly similar to his. Small fires occur around the house, culminating in the spontaneous combustions of their pet birds. Okay, I'm not going to play that clip again, but this was stupid.
Can I tell you? I got so mad at that
These
scene.
killer birds?
The killer parakeets.
Yeah, parakeets.
Killer parakeets. One is dead, and then the killer parakeet is apparently still alive.
Yeah,
Flies
terrorizing
around,
the house.
terrorizing these people, and then implodes.
Yeah, just grab the fucking bird and squeeze. The head will just pop right off. That's it. It's this big.
1, why do you know that? 2, ew, no. The whole point is you're not supposed to kill the bird. The bird is supposed to stay alive and not be evil and try to kill people.
Yeah, well, once it
the
starts
point.
being evil, you got to grab it and squeeze it, and the head will pop right off. Jesse has another nightmare where Freddy tells him to kill for him. The dreams grow more intense, and he unsuccessfully attempts different measures to keep himself awake. He eventually begins wandering the street at night, and one night he is caught by his gym teacher, Coach Schneider, in a gay bar and is made to run laps at school as punishment. Yeah. This is where the director was like, I didn't know it was gay undertones, and the gay bar was pretty gay. Well, it was
super gay.
lesbian, gay, drag. It had everything in there. If they were like, if there's something that was gay, they jammed it in this bar.
It was a queer convention.
Yeah.
Like that bar. But also, so this kid is walking around with his shirt unbuttoned down to his belly button, barefoot. Yeah. We learned that afterwards. Walking through the streets randomly, happens to end up at Don's Place, the gayest of all gay bars, which also is a super kink bar. I don't know. It was a very weird. There was a lot of leather. There's a lot of men. And then he just walks up to the bartender wet because it's raining too, barefoot, shirt wide open, says, "Give me a beer." The kid looks 14. Bartender's like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, creepy coach is right there.
Yeah.
And creepy coach takes him to the school to run laps as opposed to just, "I'm gonna take you home." Okay. I'm more concerned about the weird creepy coach in this whole thing, because then he's running laps and then the shower scene.
Just answering a thing about the crop tops. Johnny Depp was wearing a crop top in Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, he was. Crop tops were huge in the 80s.
Oh my God, so much.
I was not old enough to hit that crop top.
Well, it was funny
or
because it was
with the short shorts.
crop tops for men.
Yeah,
And the short shorts.
I'm not talking about women. I'm talking about it was huge for men.
I actually have a picture of a bunch of my cousins and my sister. So it's like 4 male cousins and then my sister and my female cousin. And no joke, they're on a ferry somewhere and they're wearing like all the men are wearing short shorts and kind of shorter t-shirts. And all the girls are wearing shorts like mid-thigh or longer and shirts tucked in.
Yeah.
They were not wearing crop top. I was like, look at all of y'all showing off your legs. So sexy.
Yeah. I should rock a crop top.
Could you please?
When we do like what was that movie? Sleepaway Camp. A lot of crop tops in that movie too.
So many crop tops and short shorts.
Yeah. I also applaud the Coach Schneider for punishing the student and not taking advantage of him. Well done, sir.
I don't think we made it to the taking advantage of him. Yeah.
Oh, you think that was coming?
I thought that was coming because that was my thought. I'm like, so you take him, you make him super tired, then you tell him to take a shower. Yeah, no, you're going to do something dirty, but then something dirty.
Shame
was
on
done
you,
to him.
Coach Schneider. I changed my mind. Shame.
Because what he should have done is been like, "Hey, kid,
We're
not
taking
supposed
you
to be
home.
here.
Yeah, let's
We're
go.
taking you home. Why are you barefoot?" That's what a responsible adult would have done.
Yeah. In the gym showers, Freddy emerges and kills Schneider. Afterward, not before getting attacked by like the gym equipment and then tied up by skipping rope and the towel snapping. Woo.
Coach takes the skipping rope out of the cabinet, puts it on the table all nice and wrapped up. So you're like, where the fuck were you going with that? Then that skipping rope travels by itself, at least according to our eyes, and ties him up. Then he gets stripped. So he's buck naked. Then a towel floats through the air and like whips at his ass, leaving marks. And then you see Freddy emerging from the fog of the hot water. Yeah. And then there's blood on Jesse. And I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah, and the coach, like, he was upset being attacked by the invisible thing throwing all the equipment at him and being tied up with but he wasn't. I thought might be more alarmed. If it was me, I too would be screaming like a girl. They would have included me in the documentary and called it Scream Queens.
Well, that's the thing. I was like, you're not. It was a very short scene.
Yeah. Probably for the better.
Yeah. But it was almost really focused on not necessarily tormenting him, because it's literally like right after he gets like the towel whips.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's scratches down his back. He's dead. And I was like, that's usually not Freddy's style. Like Freddy likes to play with his food. Yeah.
And you could argue it was Mark doing all of this because it was him standing there after Coach Schneider is sliced and diced and he had the glove on his hand. But I'm not buying Mark overpower. The guy who plays the coach, he's huge. Like, he's a monster of a man. And Mark, no, not trying to be mean, would not be able to do any of that to him.
There's a lot, but it's funny because it left it very ambiguous. Like, it's not like you almost see Mark across the room and then all of a sudden he's standing next to him wearing the glove. And you're like, oh, fuck, it was him. He's still across the room, but wearing the glove. And you're like, so did he do it or not?
I know it was pretty sloppy.
Yeah.
So Mark is escorted home by the police after being found wandering the streets naked. Lisa takes Jesse to the abandoned factory where Freddy Krueger worked, but they find nothing there.
The character's name is Jesse.
What's that?
Character's name is Jesse.
What did I say?
We've been calling him Mark for the last like 5 minutes.
Shit. Yeah, sorry. The character's name is Jesse. And when he gets dropped off by the police, stereotypical 80s parents, like the mom, he might need a therapist. And the dad's like, he doesn't need a therapist. He needs a fucking kick in the Sounds
And
like
then-
me.
You know what the best part is? I ended up writing a note. I was like, the dad is an example of why so many Gen Xers need therapy.
Yeah.
He's the reason. Parents like him. Because the mom is like, oh no, my poor baby. And he's like, whatever, he's got to toughen up, suck it up.
Yeah. Go
Feelings
be a
are
man.
for the weak.
That's what I say all the time to my kids. Stop whining. Be a man. I have all girls. And then
Whatever.
they yell at me.
They're probably more manly than you are. Let's be real.
A lot more manly at times.
And that is perfect.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on gender roles. But I will say that was also the point where I wrote a note to myself where I was like, this feels like a really weird after school special.
Absolutely. Yes. So the following night, Jesse attends Lisa's pool party and kisses her, but his body begins to change and he leaves in a panic. In the first film, although dated, it is still a fun or funny scene where Freddy's tongue comes out of the phone and tries to French kiss Nancy. It still looks like you appreciate the effort and it's done quick enough that it still fits in the movie well. Excuse me. This was just a rubber tongue.
It was gross.
Yeah.
It was like gray.
But it was so fake looking. Like, tie a string to it, move it around. Put some
Yeah, move
saliva
it.
on make it gross. Lick some nipples. Like, do something weird.
Oh, I didn't even realize this until I was watching the documentary. There was no nipple, like female nipples in this movie.
Oh, I am aware. All I saw was fucking man ass.
I know. And I was
Count the
like,
disappointment on my face.
I
I'm like,
I know.
And I'm like, oh, they're making out. Here comes some. What? Where's? Although
he kept them
we're in high
covered.
school, I shouldn't be cheering to see nipple.
He kept them covered.
He did keep them covered.
And I was like,
Oh, very
and I
gentlemanly.
noticed that, and I was like, oh, that's great. And then in the pool, you see one of the girls, I think it was the best friend. You see her her bikini top like floating away, but you still don't see her boobs. I never registered that. And
I
that
did.
just further confirms we're going for like gay in this movie.
Gay!
Yo, please. We can stop with that clip now. It's funny the first like 2-3 times. Now it's not.
Yeah, and the tongue looked like something you bought from the It store. Oh, you remember the It store?
Mm-hmm.
That was cool.
I do.
Yeah. For those listening, the It store was just a store pre-internet or pre-ordering everything and everything where you get like fake vomit, dog poo, cigarettes that look like they were lit so kids could walk around and get dirty looks. Shirts that had sayings, dirty sayings and gag gifts and cool. Yeah. It was one of my favorite
like
stores.
Spencer's but less gothic.
Yeah. But my point being is that they wasted this scene with a shitty prop. Shame on you, prop guy. Shame.
Honestly, sometimes I think in this some things fell by the wayside and it was a lot of it's good enough. Because there were a few scenes where I was like, that's not, there were some where I was like, oh, not bad. That's pretty impressive for 1985. And then there were some where I was like, were you even paying attention? Did you even look to see what it looked like on camera?
Yeah. When Grady falls, no, wait. Okay, no, he goes to Grady's house, confesses to killing Schneider, and instructs Grady to watch him as he sleeps. I like Grady, but if my friend came and confessed to murder and then wanted to sleep over and see if he acts strange or starts to get, murdery, I'd be like, no. Sorry, dude. Mom, Jesse is creeping me out. I think he might be trying to murder me if I fall asleep.
But this just establishes their bestie status.
Yeah.
You know, even
I
though
guess so.
literally 2 weeks ago they hated each other. They have now had lunch where they had a fight, and then Ron was all like, "Okay, see you later, dude." They've done like millions of push-ups together, so now they are besties. So I mean, if your bestie was to come, I know not to you, but if
Not
my
me,
bestie came to me and said, "Look, I think I'm being possessed by a freaky, non-corporeal killer. Can you watch me while I sleep?" I'd be like, "Sure, buddy. Let me lock you in the closet. Put some barriers between us. But yeah, I'll watch you."
Yeah, you don't have
You're
to
just
ask me. I always watch you sleep. When Grady falls asleep, Freddy emerges from Jesse's body and kills him. And this is where, limited by 1985, the effects tried these. This movie did try some new things, and some weren't bad, like the eyeball in his throat.
Mm-hmm.
The ripping out of his stomach wasn't bad. Not the best effects for 1985, but I took a look like Fright Night, Day of the Dead, Teen Wolf, Friday the 13th Part 5. Not the best effects of 85, but there were some decent stuff
they were
here.
pretty good. They were pretty good for I always say for 1985 because we've become so desensitized to effects that we just expect them to be like a certain level. So when we watch something that's older, everything looks shitty, but you got to remember 1985, like this was actually really good. So there's some really good stuff in here that you're like, yeah, fantastic. And then they have stuff like the gray plastic tongue thing, and you're like, dude.
Now, Freddy then changes back to Jesse, who flees back to Lisa's house. Lisa realizes that Jesse's terror is giving Freddy his strength, but he cannot stop fearing him and transforms again. Freddy attacks Lisa, but realizes he cannot harm her due to Jesse's influence, so he just fucking bites her ankle. He goes outside instead, where he slaughters the partygoers before escaping, and this is where I throw my hands up in the air and declare, what the fuck is going on? I love this scene as a 10, 11, 12-year-old because it was Freddy killing lots of kids. Watching that, this was stupid.
Correct. It
could have been cool.
It could have been so cool.
Yeah.
It could have been so cool, but it was so anticlimactic because he kills a couple random people.
Yeah, 28-year-old teenagers that all look bigger than him.
Correct. And then he kind of runs into the bushes.
Yeah.
Into flames.
Well, he boils the pool.
Yes.
The fire, the exploding the hot dogs. Yeah, he killed the shit out of the hot dogs. Like, this could have been done with Jesse spiking the drinks or food and having them all fall asleep, and then Freddy gets them into the dream world, not the real world.
Yeah.
Like, in the first movie, if you bring Freddy out of the dream world, he's vulnerable. That's why Nancy was able to hurt him. Yeah, and like the dad, he tried to, which also begs the question, who the fuck misses this from 5 feet away with a shotgun? It's what they're fucking designed for.
Fucking reload. I was like, is that not King? Okay, like, I'm not super well versed on guns. Okay. It's just not my jam. But however, every movie I have seen that has involved a shotgun of some sort, you can load.
You can load a couple shells in.
2 shells.
Yeah.
At least. So I was like, dude, why are you only putting 1 shell into your shotgun?
Yeah.
And you also have like 4 or 5 shotguns. So you're not a novice.
Yeah.
But yeah, he shot the table. He shot the snacks.
Yeah. Yeah. He wasn't that far away from Freddy, and this dildo missed.
Then he had to like reload. Good for him. And then when he finally gets it back up, what's her nuts? Lisa is right there to knock the gun away because, oh no, it's Jesse. I'm like, should have been the leg.
Yes, great comment. There was that one guy who said that, hey, buddy, calm down. This was like this guy. We can help. Like, it's okay. It'll be okay. Yeah, this guy deserved to die.
Yeah. Why is there all of a sudden a hostage negotiator?
Yeah.
At this pool party of teenagers.
With a guy that looks burnt and has knives on his fingers. Yeah, let's talk him down.
Like, I know this was before the, regularity, I guess, of like high school mass shootings. But I highly doubt a 16, 17, or even 18-year-old high school student is going to be like, I can talk him down. This very disfigured man with a glove of blades, who just indiscriminately killed some people, I can talk him down. I can convince him that he should just be calm and not kill any more people.
Yeah.
You run screaming. That's what you do as a teenager. You run screaming.
Yeah, this was a bizarre part of the movie. It's like they were brainstorming, and by them, I mean like grade 5 students, probably the same ones that wrote Steel Dawn with Patrick Swayze. And they were like, and then hot dogs will explode and the pool will boil. Freddy pops out, just starts killing.
The
But when
pool
they
will
just
boil, but the people in it will not boil with
no,
it.
they won't boil or get marked. But when they just run away and one kid raises his hands, how's about the gate is electrocuted? And then they're like, yeah, this was dumb.
And that was also animated. Fantastic.
Oh yeah. Not
So
blue
he
lightning.
puts his hand, not
yellow
blue.
electric
It was yeah, to show the difference of
Yeah.
voltage apparently. So he puts his hands there. Then
It's
he's like,
horrible
"Oh
acting,
no," and just walks away. And I'm like,
It was awesome.
that's all we're doing. We're not even reacting really to like it burning you because it would burn. But fine.
I did like the fire behind Freddy and where he's
Yes.
like his arms and like, you're all my children now. That could have been an iconic line had he dragged them into the dream world and killed them. But yeah,
if he had started even just killing them and saying a quick line with each of them and just being like, you're mine and you're mine and you're mine. And then done that with you're all my children now with the fire behind him would have looked amazing, would have been amazing, would have made sense.
Yep.
Just saying that to a party full of kids doesn't make sense.
No. She pleads with Jesse to fight Freddy, confesses her love for him, and kisses Freddy. Only a broad. If roles were reversed, no dude would kiss Freddy in hopes that maybe she would be free. He'd be like, I think we should see other people. I like you as a friend. I'm gay. After this, Jesse begins to fight back. Freddy combusts and turns to ash, from which Jesse emerges. What was with the obsession with the fire and the heat? I don't get this.
I have a theory. Like, I know Freddy is supposed to be burned and disfigured, but they really use the fire a lot, and especially with like initiated by Freddy, which I thought was odd.
Yeah, because he shouldn't like fire.
Because he shouldn't like fire. And he doesn't really use fire in the first movie.
I don't think he uses fire a lot in the other movies either.
Yeah, like it's not an integral part of like his profile. So I was like, that's weird. But how many times have you heard someone say, "Oh, is he gay?" And someone says, "Oh yeah, flaming."
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. I was like, they really use like entry and exit of Freddy with flames a lot. It's weird because they use flames a lot in this movie. And I was like, that feels weird. And it doesn't feel like congruent with the character. So I was like, what? And then that phrase kind of popped up and I was like,
actually that makes sense.
Doing?
And the beginning of this climax was great with those weird dogs with those weird heads on them. And I'm like, this is getting kind of cool. And then it was just.
And then it stopped being cool.
Yeah, it was just boring. It was a boring end. It was dumb. Like they ran out of money. Let's just burn them.
Well, they burned him fine. And then from the fiery like cast of Freddy comes Jesse emerging to be with Lisa, who saved him.
Yeah.
And I was like, really?
Good old Christian woman. Brings him back to heterosexuality.
We don't know if she's Christian, but we're gonna run with it. Why not? But yeah, no, it was a super like I was like, that's it. That's the ending.
That's all we get, really? Oh, okay.
Like he got lit on fire again and then just burnt to a crisp and then you flaked him off.
And then Jesse's there. Yeah.
And then Jesse's there. And then he has, because once you get past that, after that, he's only got some like bandages on his arms.
Yeah.
And I was like, he was literally encased in fire.
Yeah.
And that's it. Bandages on his arms. Really thin bandages too.
Just a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Later, as Jesse, Lisa, and Lisa's friend Carrie are taking the bus to school, Jesse notices similarities to his original nightmare and panics. Carrie insists it's all over before Freddy's clawed arm bursts through her chest. Freddy laughs as the bus drives into the field, just as in Jesse's first nightmare. Yes, the beginning and ending is the only thing remotely a Nightmare on Elm Street about this movie. And that is our movie.
And that was enough.
What was your score?
My score, stream it with caveats. Here's my one and only caveat. If you're doing a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon. Stream this movie. Now, I'm going to be real honest. I was having difficulties streaming it. So I was like, okay, Prime, we're going with you now. Prime, you could either, they were selling it or renting it. They were selling it for $4.99. They were renting it for $4.99. I was like, well, I'm buying this motherfucker. So I now am the proud owner of this movie. I don't know how proud I am, but I'm the owner. But I mean, like, I'm not mad that I paid $4.99 because obviously I had to for this podcast. But would I have preferred not to? Yeah. But I also think if you're going to do a marathon of these movies, it's worth it to watch it. Also, if you want to see a movie that very obviously has the intent of being anti-gay, but has been co-opted and adopted by the gay community as a gay film, by all means, watch this because you can point out all of the many different facets that are very identifiable as either gay or anti-gay. It's all in there, all over the place. And then I think at that point it's worth watching. But if you're just looking for a horror movie or something, fun to watch, I probably wouldn't pick this. And I definitely wouldn't spend money on it. So I think if you're watching it with a purpose that is outside of just watching this movie, yeah. If you're just looking for a good, fun movie to watch, don't watch this. At most, stream it. But that's it. What are your thoughts? What's your rating?
Okay, first, before I have two things I want to say about this movie. Okay, so if they made a Nightmare on Elm Street with a lead who is a man, who is in high school, who is wrestling with the notion that he is gay, but he's trying to fit in, date a girl, hide the fact. If they use Freddy, like Freddy, like funny, mean, bullying, call him names, and, well, use your imagination. Then as people find out and turn on him, not everyone, not his mom, not Lisa, because now she has a gay best friend and they're the best. But then Freddy uses that to his advantage. Like, they hate you. They don't understand you. Let's get them. And if they use the dream world, how fun would a Nightmare on Elm Street dream world be all gayed up? This could have actually been a fantastic friggin' movie if you think about what they were trying to say and if they actually did what they were trying to hint at. It would have been a great movie. It could have been a masterpiece. But I get it. 1985. The AIDS epidemic, and everyone's be like, oh, look how backwards people were, like, in the government. To which I say, yeah, look how well we handled COVID. But it's too bad. It would have been a way better movie. Also, you could argue that this movie is being anti-gay, and being gay is evil. Freddy represents and urges sinful thoughts and gayness, and it's Lisa who is the hero. The wholesome straight woman who denounces the gay Freddy and loves the man so much that she defeats the gayness, and our Jesse's free to live a heterosexual life. And those subtexts are also in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be argued both ways. But, or both are stupid, and this movie was just not that great. So that leads me to my score. Viewing this movie as not a Freddy movie, but a separate slasher film would play better. Problem is, this is a Freddy movie. End of discussion. This was a ghost story. This was a demon possession story. This was a Freddy movie without, well, Freddy. He's here, but he's not. The jump from the first film to the third film in terms of Freddy characters are huge, the way he gets more funny and stuff like this. But the first film still had the blueprint of joking Freddy, creepy Freddy, playing with his food, his victims Freddy. This movie abandoned it completely. Where is the dream world? It is non-existent except for the opening and end scene. They took the two things, Freddy and dream world rules, which I'll admit has some plot holes sometimes, but they took these two things that made Nightmare on Elm Street so new, so different, so unique, and threw them away and did something different, but has been done 100 times before. Like ghost stories, possessions, like Exorcist, Amityville, horror, Conjuring. And this one is subpar compared to these movies. The dialogue was sloppy. The direction was not great. I will give points for the effects department. Some of it was good. Some of it were odd choices, the exploding birds, but there was effort into trying to make it different. In the end, this is not a great movie and an even worse Freddy movie. Freddy is just not really Freddy in this movie. No dream world, no interesting kills. If there is a list of Nightmare on Elm Street kills in order from bad to good, this might be at the bottom. But I do say stream it. It is Nightmare on Elm Street, but this is like that weird, quiet, creepy cousin. You don't hate him, but you don't love him, and like I love hanging out with him, but you invite him over for family gatherings because you have to. And if you're watching Nightmare on Elm Street, you should include this one. You might skip it sometimes if you saw it last year. I don't know if this is the worst Nightmare on Elm Street. It could be number 6. I'm not sure. Freddy's dead. But yeah, even at the worst of them, I agree with you. You have to include it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought it, but it came with the collection.
Yeah.
So it's got all of them. So I'm not bad. And I got this on sale. So I paid, I think, $20 for that.
Nice.
So I'm not mad that I have it. I'll watch it again. It's not going to be anytime soon. It'll be during like a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon.
I think if you're doing a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon, by all means, feel free to include this movie. You don't have to, but you can. And I think that's really the only reason you should watch this movie, unless you're also studying it for, representation of homosexuality or queerness in film. Honestly, I think this would be a great addition to that kind of class, because I think it's very interesting also how they're trying to represent it post this movie, because the audience saw it and said, this is the first time I'm seeing gayness in a horror movie, and I can identify with people and elements in it, and I'm really seeing it. And then when you actually look at it, there's so much anti-gay stuff slipped in there.
Yeah.
But nothing is explicitly said, which I think is so interesting. This movie frustrates me because it could have been so good.
It could have been really good. It could have been. They had an idea that they snuck in. That they denied. It was so obvious now.
Well, yeah. Now that I'm not like
and think about it,
11-year-old,
you could have made such a cool movie, and you would have been way ahead of yourselves. You can still make it now, and it could be cool.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments kind of mentioned like they should reboot it. I think it was Cheese Toast. Thank you. And I fully agree. Honestly, I think they should reboot number 2. Like remake it so that it's worth it.
Remake it and make it gay. You can make Freddy Krueger. You can make him homophobic. You can make him funny.
The scene at the stairs when it's kind of in his nightmare, he's like sleeping, and then the basement.
Oh, that was in the documentary where he was gonna, yeah.
But I remember when I was watching it, I was like, this feels super intimate. Like I was like, is this one of those gay moments? Because it's feeling kind of gay.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there and I was like, no, it kind of makes sense. I feel like Freddy is just into everything. He's just wide open. There are no limits for him. Yeah. So I was like, this makes sense. This makes sense for his character. Because I was like, Freddy, you're getting kind of intimate there.
And Robert Englund was fine with it. He was like, if this is where we're going, let's try it. Yeah.
And then the makeup artist had a moment with the actor, and I was like, ooh, smart. Good move.
All right. Well, thanks for coming back to 1985 to watch or preview A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. We have 2 streamits. And one more time for Anna.
Gay!
And until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,